Welcome to this profound journey into the heart of life, death, and everything in between. Have you ever wondered what truly happens after we die? Is it an end? Or just the beginning of something far greater? In this video, we'll explore the ancient wisdom of the Bardo Thodol, also known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and discover how its teachings about the Bardos, the intermediate stages between death and rebirth, can completely transform the way we live. Join me as we uncover the hidden truths of life after death, and explore how the Bardos can help us awaken to the present moment, face our fears, and live more consciously. This isn't just a journey about death, it's a journey about how we live. So, take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's begin. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is a sacred text called the Bardo Thodol, often referred to as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But this book is not just about death. It is about life. It is about the journey of the soul, the moments after death, and the profound transformations that occur in between lives. It offers us a glimpse into the inner workings of the mind during the Bardos, the intermediate states between death and rebirth. But how does this connect to us today? And how does it challenge the way we view life, death, and everything in between? We tend to think of death as an event, something that happens to us, an ending. But according to the Bardo Thodol, death is just a moment, a transition, and the moments that follow, those mysterious, in-between states, are far more significant than we may realize. They are the threshold of transformation. They are where our deepest fears, desires, and subconscious patterns play out. The Chikhai Bardo, the first stage, occurs at the moment of death. It is the moment we cease to breathe. Yet our awareness does not immediately disappear. Instead, we experience the dissolution of the body, the quieting of the mind, and the emergence of pure consciousness. In this moment, we face the deepest truths of our existence. The experience is often described as being a moment of profound peace or intense fear, depending on our state of mind at the time of death. This stage holds a mirror to our life's choices, revealing how we have lived and what we have believed. But what does that mean for us now, as we go through our daily lives? The Chikhai Bardo invites us to ask, are we living fully with awareness? Or are we merely going through the motions, ignoring the deeper currents of our own consciousness? This moment, the moment of death, is simply a reflection of the way we live each day. If we learn to face our fears, acknowledge our desires, and live authentically, we will be prepared for this transition, not just when we die, but right now. Between life and rebirth, navigating the mystical Bardos, there is a space between life and death, a space that is both timeless and transient, a space that holds all possibilities. This is the realm of the Chönyid Bardo, the Bardo of visions. In this stage, the soul encounters an array of visions, deities, lights, and sounds that are both external and internal. These visions are not just illusions, they are reflections of our deepest mental and emotional states, projections of our fears, hopes, and unprocessed experiences. In this phase, everything is magnified. What we have ignored in our waking life now confronts us head-on. If we are not prepared, the overwhelming flood of these experiences can be disorienting, even terrifying. But if we learn to navigate this space with clarity and presence, it becomes a path to liberation. The Chönyid Bardo is about understanding the power of perception. What do we see when we close our eyes? What images arise from the depths of our mind? What emotions surface when we're no longer distracted by the outside world? In our daily lives, we constantly create and shape our reality through perception. We decide what is real and what is illusion. The same principle applies in the Bardo. We can either be consumed by the visions and lose ourselves, or we can recognize them for what they are: projections of our own consciousness. The key is to understand that the external world is not separate from our internal world. The mind is the canvas, and the experiences are the paint. This is where the Chönyid Bardo can teach us a profound lesson: to see the world not as it appears but as it is. The mystical nature of this stage is not just about encountering strange deities or lights. It is about confronting the inner landscape of the mind itself. By facing these visions, we come closer to understanding who we really are, beyond the layers of the ego and the conditioned self. The 3 stages of Bardo: what happens after death? What happens when we die? It's a question we've all asked at some point, but the Bardo Thodol offers us an answer. 3 answers, in fact. These 3 stages: Chikhai Bardo, Chönyid Bardo, and Sidpa Bardo, describe the journey of the soul after death. But more importantly, they reveal how we can understand this journey while we are still alive. The 3rd stage, Sidpa Bardo, is the Bardo of rebirth. In this phase, the soul begins to move towards a new existence, either through a new body or a new consciousness. It is the beginning of a new cycle, a new opportunity to learn, grow, and transform. But Sidpa Bardo is not something that happens only after death. It is a constant process, a reminder that every moment is a potential rebirth. Every thought, every action, every decision carries the seeds of our future rebirth. Our current state of mind, our desires, and our attachments influence where we are headed. If we are attached to material things, to ego, or to past traumas, these attachments will shape our future experiences. But if we practice detachment, mindfulness, and compassion, we can influence the kind of rebirth we experience. This is the ultimate message of the Bardo Thodol: life and death are interconnected. They are not separate. Every thought we have, every action we take, is part of an ongoing cycle of transformation. In this sense, we are always in the process of dying and being reborn. This is not something to fear, but something to embrace. What if we saw every moment as a new opportunity for transformation? What if, instead of fearing death, we used it as a guide to live more fully? The process of dying is not something that happens just once. It is happening all the time. We are continuously being reborn, moment by moment. And this is where the true beauty of the Bardo Thodol lies. It teaches us to live not just for the future, but for the present. To understand that death is not an end, but a continuation of the journey. It is the space between the Bardo that defines who we are and who we will become. In conclusion, the Bardo Thodol is not just about death. It is about life. It is a map for navigating the complexities of our existence, guiding us through the labyrinth of our fears, desires, and attachments. It invites us to awaken to the present moment, to recognize the interconnectedness of life and death, and to live with mindfulness and awareness. As you journey through your own life, remember that each moment is an opportunity to prepare for the next stage, whatever it may be. The Bardos are not some distant, abstract concept. They are right here, right now. The moment you face your fears, embrace your truth, and live authentically, you are already on the path to liberation. Life, death, and rebirth are not separate. They are all part of the same cycle. And it is through understanding this cycle that we find true peace, true freedom, and ultimately, the true nature of our being. Chikhai Bardo, the moment of death and the secrets it holds. Have you ever stopped to truly consider what happens in the moment of death? It's easy to think of death as an event that simply marks the end of our lives. But the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo Thodol, invites us to see it as much more than that. The moment of death, the Chikhai Bardo, is not merely the cessation of breath, but the opening of a door to something profound. It's the moment when the veil between the known and the unknown, between the physical and the spiritual, becomes thin. In the moment of death, we find ourselves suspended between worlds. Our body may no longer function, yet our awareness remains unfettered by the limitations of the physical realm. Imagine it a vast, empty space, but within it, all the potential for transformation. What if this moment is not the end, but the beginning of something much deeper than we've ever imagined. The Chikhai Bardo is a realm of pure consciousness, a place where the mind can encounter the truth of existence without the distractions of daily life. In this moment, you may feel the dissolution of everything you have ever known. Your body, your identity, your memories. It is the death of the self, and it is at once both terrifying and liberating. This is where the great secret lies, that death is not an end, but a transition. This concept is both liberating and unsettling. But think about this. Is it possible that the way we live shapes the way we die? If we live with awareness, if we confront our fears and let go of our attachments, the Chikhai Bardo may be a peaceful transition into the next stage of existence. But if we live in denial, clinging to the familiar, perhaps the moment of death will be filled with anxiety and confusion. The mind is not limited to the body. It continues, and the way we live reflects the state of mind we carry into death. This is why the Chikhai Bardo calls us to live fully in the present, to recognize the impermanence of life, to embrace the unknown, and to let go of the illusion of control. Because in the end, death is not something that happens to us, it is something we are always in the process of becoming. In each moment, we are dying and being reborn. And in this cycle, there is a profound freedom. Visions of the Chönyid Bardo. What will you see after death? After the moment of death, the soul enters the Chönyid Bardo, the Bardo of visions. It is here that the mind's deepest projections, our fears, desires, hopes, and unresolved emotions, begin to take form. The visions that arise are not just external phenomena but reflections of our inner world. These visions are a mirror, showing us not only what we think, but also who we are at the deepest level. They reveal what we have hidden from ourselves, the truths we have yet to confront. In this stage, everything we have ever believed about the world comes into question. We may encounter familiar faces, divine beings, terrifying images, or beautiful lights. These are the symbols of our mind, the gods, demons we have created. And yet they are not external, they are us. Our perceptions are the very fabric of our reality. As we enter the Chönyid Bardo, the line between the Creole world and the illusory world dissolves. The boundary between what is outside and what is inside is no longer clear. Imagine you are standing before a vast, shifting landscape. What do you see? Is it a paradise or a nightmare? Do you encounter the people you love or the fears you have suppressed? The truth is, in this state, nothing is fixed. Your mind will present you with everything you have avoided, everything you have held dear, and everything you have feared. The question is not what you will see, but how you will respond to it. The Chönyid Bardo is a powerful reminder that what we perceive is not the truth, but a reflection of our own consciousness. The reality we experience is shaped by our inner world. If we are attached to our past, to our desires, or to our identities, we may find ourselves trapped in these visions, unable to move forward. But if we recognize them for what they are, transient, impermanent, and empty of inherent meaning, we can transcend them. This is the opportunity for liberation, to see through the illusions, to realize that the mind is the creator of all things, and in doing so, to step beyond them. This, too, is not just about death. It is about living with awareness. Every day, we are confronted by the visions of our mind, the thoughts we entertain, the desires we chase, the judgments we make. They all shape the world we live in. The Chönyid Bardo teaches us that we have the power to change our perceptions, to free ourselves from the cycle of illusion. In this moment, as in life, we are faced with a choice: to be swept away by the tide of our projections, or to see through them and experience the truth of our being. Sidpa Bardo, the mysterious path of rebirth. And then comes the final stage of the Sidpa Bardo, the Bardo of rebirth. In this stage, the soul moves toward its next incarnation. The choice of where and how one is reborn is influenced by the karmic patterns formed during previous lives. But even in this stage, the question remains, what kind of rebirth will we experience? In the Sidpa Bardo, we are presented with opportunities. Opportunities to be reborn into a new life, to start anew. But this rebirth is not a clean slate. It is shaped by everything we have experienced up until this moment. The desires we clung to, the attachments we formed, the lessons we failed to learn. These will all play a role in determining the nature of our next life. If we have not resolved our inner conflicts, they will follow us. If we have not confronted our fears, they will persist. Yet there is hope in the Sidpa Bardo, because this is not a deterministic process. It is not fate, it is a reflection of our choices. In this stage, we have the power to transform. We can choose to be reborn into a life of clarity, compassion, and wisdom. Or, if we are not yet ready, we may be drawn back into the cycle of suffering, only to try again. The Sidpa Bardo teaches us that rebirth is not just a physical event. It is a spiritual and psychological process. Every moment is a rebirth. Every thought, every decision, every action is a chance to begin anew. We are constantly being reborn into the person we choose to be. And this is the beauty of the Sidpa Bardo. It is a reminder that we are never trapped. There is always the possibility of transformation, always the possibility to change course and create a new destiny. So, how do we navigate the Sidpa Bardo in our own lives? The answer is simple, yet profound. Live consciously. Live with intention. Every choice you make now will shape the life you experience in the future. And this does not only apply to the next life, but to the life you are living right now. How we face our fears, how we deal with suffering, how we respond to challenges. This is the path of rebirth. The Sidpa Bardo is not just about death. It is about how we live. It teaches us that every moment is an opportunity for renewal, for change, and for growth. And in this way, life and death are not separate. They are one continuous process of becoming. Each breath is a rebirth, each thought a new beginning. In the Sidpa Bardo, we find not only the mystery of rebirth after death, but the deeper mystery of how to live fully, consciously, and authentically, right here and right now. The stages of the Bardos, Chikhai, Chönyid, and Sidpa, are not just ancient concepts tied to death. They are living, breathing realities that we experience every day, in every moment. They are maps of the inner journey, guides to understanding the mind, the soul, and the process of transformation. If we can embrace these teachings, if we can live with awareness and mindfulness, we can transcend the limitations of fear, attachment, and ignorance. We can see the world as it truly is, not as a collection of separate objects, but as a vast, interconnected web of consciousness. And in this realization, we find true freedom. The Bardos invite us to step beyond the boundaries of life and death, to understand that they are not separate realms, but part of a continuous cycle of growth, change, and rebirth. And in this understanding, we find not only the keys to the afterlife, but the keys to living a life of purpose, clarity, and peace. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the Bardo, the realms between life, death, and rebirth. We've explored profound teachings that can help us not only understand the mysteries of the afterlife, but also live more fully in the present moment. Remember, the Bardos aren't just something we experience after death. They're a reflection of our daily lives and choices. If we can live with mindfulness, awareness, and compassion, we can navigate these stages with clarity, and in doing so, transform our very existence. If you found this exploration meaningful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share your thoughts and experiences with the Bardos below. Let's continue this conversation. Until next time, may you live fully, awaken to the present, and embrace the mystery of life, death, and rebirth.